Welcome, everybody. And I see we have about 30 people online. Tonight is going to be a little bit of a rehash of some things, some new things, others, mostly to do with what do you think about during the race and how can you best prepare for race day and during the race. That's pretty much what we're going to talk about today. So, with that in mind, let me share my screen here. You should probably, whoops, why didn't that share? Here we go. And from the beginning, you guys should all see this says thanks for coming today. And do you guys all see that? Yes? I'll take that for a yes. Anyway,
Yes. Mhm.
good. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. And if you have a body, you are an athlete. And you guys are about to all be marathoners, not just athletes, but marathoners, which is really less than 2% of the US population. You're about to be part of a unique, and I like to think an important group in the United States, marathoners. That's a little of me, the book I co-wrote. Anyway, here we go. Really quick, I know we've talked about every single one of these things, but they do bear repeating, all of them. And think about this. If you were to do a longer run today, because we are about, what is it, ten days out from the
Yeah.
LA Marathon, something like that. If you were to do a run today, you would find that you would not benefit from that higher intensity work or that longer work or whatever it is, that impact from that work in your physiology until after race day. It takes 10 to 14 days for a workout to impact your physiology or your neurology. So the best thing that you can do right now, and we've talked about this dozens of times, is taper. You're building hormone levels, you're building strength, you're building energy from increased hormone levels. That's really where you want to head now. Less, less, less until race day. And we've already talked about that a little bit. The last 2 weeks, less, 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 less. And then Saturday, we're going to have that little kicker, that warm up on Saturday at Griffith Park at 8 or 8:30. We'll talk about that later. Um, 2 to 3 light strength training workouts this week. Keep it light strength training. Okay. You're going to have way less run, walk, or run, walk time. You can put a little bit more, again, light strength training. You're not really straining yourself. You're not risking injuring yourself. You're definitely not going to failure one more time. None of that. So it's don't do it the same day as a long run or a long run, walk, or walk. Don't do it as in the same day as a track workout or a threshold run or an intense workout, meaning run, run, walk, or walk. Um, Gently stretch way more this week. Do some 3 minute stretches wherever you are tight. Hold it for 10 seconds, release it, and then for just a second or two, and then hold it again. Any stretch that you can do where you are tight, do it gently, like it should feel like a massage. Cut back on caffeine. Race day, you do benefit from using caffeine, which we're going to talk about. But you're not going to benefit from caffeine if you're totally caffeinated throughout the week and throughout the month and throughout the year. And your body has gotten used to caffeine. You take in 50 milligram gel of caffeine, you'll feel nothing. It'll be like a big it'll be like a big cup of coffee. And if you're doing 2, 3 cups of coffee a day already, yeah, minimal effects, minimal benefits. On the other hand, if you did a gel at like mile 20 or mile 18, and then again at mile 22 with caffeine in it, meaning you will have to go out and buy a gel with like hopefully 50 milligrams of caffeine or something kind of up there, and do two of those, that'll really spike your energy levels as long as you're off caffeine in any source right now. Don't forget, caffeine is a drug. Reduce your volume if you're doing a lot of coffee. Reduce it slowly. Hopefully, you've already cut back so you're either off caffeine or almost off caffeine. You don't want to go through withdrawal symptoms, which could include severe headaches and jitteriness. So cut back caffeine slowly, but do so like now. Um, Figure out how to get 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour. GUs are like 22, 23. I know I've said this before. I know I'm saying it again. I will say it again. GU is 22, 23 grams of carbs. That'll get you halfway there. That means 2 GUs per hour. Now, whatchamacallits, performance nutrition gels that have no sodium in them, which we're going to talk about. No sodium in performance nutrition gels, but they do have 30 grams of carbs. If you're going for 60 grams, the more that you can stomach, the better. There you go. You're still at 2 gels per hour of performance because they're 30 grams each. But if you're a petite woman, for example, you may not be able to stomach that much. Think back to when you were a kid and all the sugar. We're talking processed sugar. That's what gels are. Yeah, and you need them during the higher your heart rate, the more sugar you utilize in the form of glycogen. That's exactly what glycogen is. So think back when you were a kid and you ate half a box of cookies and it made your stomach sick. That's what it feels like. If you start feeling nauseous, you're taking in too much. Just hold off on taking in more gels, more sugar, more electrolyte, the drink, which has some sugar in it, which you need, but hold back on taking that. That feeling of nausea will go away. Just like when you were a kid, you eventually digested it, and that feeling of nausea, eating a box of cookies, went away. I know I said this before, 8 to 9 hours of sleep. The first and only gold medalist in triathlon from the United States of America triathlon team, USA, uh, claimed that she won gold in the Rio Olympics in, I believe it was 2012, because she got 9 hours of sleep a night. That's where you rebuild hormone levels. That's where you rebuild muscle density. And the hormones also help speed up rebuilding muscle density. So you're more energy, more stronger with 9 hours of sleep a night from here on in. I know, I hear you. Imagine an emotional story for late in the race to spike your adrenaline. Um, if you think, oh my God, a bear is chasing me, anything emotional like that, fear will cause you, whatever it is that really, really spikes you on an emotional level. It could be bringing you to absolute tears. Oh my God, I'm finishing a marathon. It could be, oh my God, I'm winning a marathon, the elation of that story. And how exciting that would be. It could be a really funny scene from a movie. It could be the most uplifting story that you could think of. It could be absolute rage that ex-boyfriend, oh my God, he's next to me. He's trying to beat me. He's here, even though he's not. Imagine anything that spikes your emotion the emotion spikes your adrenaline the same way caffeine will spike your adrenaline. Emotion does the exact same thing. Our brains are not that diverse. It doesn't matter what the emotion is, it stimulates the same neurological response. Dopamine secretion, which will spike your pleasure centers of your brain so you won't feel aches or pains as much and make you more aware. Dopamine does. And dopamine will generate more adrenaline, which gives you more energy. And even if you're lower in glycogen, even if you're hit the wall, your subconscious brain will be overridden. The governors that say, okay, shut it down because we're getting too low on hydration or carbohydrate in the form of glycogen. Those governors that shut you down, that are unconscious to you, that you're unaware of, will be overridden by that adrenaline from caffeine, or just think of an emotional story that'll get you to that spike in adrenaline and dopamine. There you go. Whoops. Imagine the race over and over and over and over again in your head. Imagine things good and imagine bad. Oh my God, the first mile I tripped and fell and my knee is scratched. I'm bleeding. What do I do now? I can still run. I can still jog. It's getting better and better and better. Okay, I can do this. I'm going to move on. Imagine the good and the bad. Oh my God, I dropped my gels. I lost 2 gels, but I thought this through in advance. I lost 2 gels in my head in my story. I prepared because of that. I have 4 extra gels with me. Darn it, I'm good. I have a plan B. I'm good. There was a story, a horrible story of a guy, a US GI in Vietnam War, and he was put in like a ditch, a square kind of 5 by 5 foot ditch or whatever it was, 4 by 4, whatever it was. He couldn't really stand up. It had like a wooden grate on top of it. And for like 5 years, this guy, all he could do to survive was think about golfing. And he wasn't a pro golfer or anything, but all he did was he thought about his swing, he thought about his shoulders, he thought about you know, his form. He thought about hitting the ball, the feeling of the ball, lining the ball up with the hole, imagining the sun in his eyes. He thought about all these things in golf every minute of every day for 5 years. Well, the interesting thing wasn't that great a golfer to begin with. He came back from Vietnam. He lived, thank God. He came back, went, played a game of golf. He beat his all-time golf record just from thinking it through over and over and over and over again for 5 years in confinement, all alone in a ditch. So think through your race, good and bad things. The bad will enable you to get ready for anything that goes wrong. I've dropped water bottle or fuel belt bottles, and you got a mob of people coming behind you. There was no way I was going to stop, turn around, and start looking for a fuel belt bottle. And that was the nutrition for a quarter of my race. Except I had thought it through and I brought some extra gels and brought some extra mineral pills. All good, no problem. I just kept going. Think your race through over and over and over with the good, with the bad, the exciting, with the, oh my God, what happened? Every imaginable element. Oop. Now, the end, excuse me, upcoming events, and then we're going to dive into the actual race itself. Not this Saturday, but the Saturday after this. Keep in mind the last week of your marathon. Wait a minute, where am I here? The last week of your marathon. I'm not sure if you're seeing my shared screen or not. At any rate, no, you should be. All right. Anyway, there we go. Um, so here we go. There it is. Now it's working. Um, yeah, we're going to have, yeah, your last week of taper next week, starting Monday of next week. You're doing the same thing as you did Monday of this week, just what is that, 3 days ago. And then the whole week, you're doing the same thing, type of thing, your same volume on Monday as Monday 3 days ago. Then Tuesday, you're doing a little less, but the same as Tuesday. Wednesday, you're doing the same as Wednesday, but less and less and less and less and less until Friday, you do absolutely zero. And then Saturday, we have a shakeout run in Griffith Park at the Children's Playground, right where our Griffith Park group meets every Saturday. That's the Children's Playground on your, Google Maps, also called Shane's Inspiration on your mapping systems. That's Saturday, March the 16th, the day before the LA Marathon. Oh, excuse me. That's not the right date. It should be Saturday, March 7th. My apologies. Saturday, March the 7th, the day before the LA Marathon. That's the wrong date. I apologize. I typed that in wrong or somehow it got wrong. I don't know. That's the day before the LA Marathon. And then the week after the LA Marathon, we have a medal run and walk. Wear your medal. We're going to do a little walk or run walk or whatever you want to do, but really slow. It takes 3 to 4 weeks to fully heal little micro tears in your muscles that occurred during the marathon. You don't feel them after a couple days, but they're still there. They're still healing 3 to 4 weeks later. So we don't want to push ourselves. We want to heal. But wear your medal. We're going to have just a little, ceremonial run, walk, or walk. And that's at all locations, Santa Monica, Griffith Park. Those are on Saturdays, and then Balboa Park on Sunday. And right after that, Santa Monica, just bring out your food when you arrive. Griffith Park, you can go back to your car and get your food. And same with Balboa Park. You could actually go to two metal metal walk, run, potluck things, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. You're all welcome. You can do Griffith Park and Balboa Park or Santa Monica and Balboa Park. You can do both of them. We love to have you at both. A lot of fun. Obviously, you have a lot to talk about. All of you have the same kind of things in common, which really makes discussion at those things great. In Santa Monica, the LA Running Club hosts the medal run walk and potluck there. So you'll see our awning will not be in Santa Monica. It will be in Balboa Park, but not Santa Monica. And the flag will be in Griffith Park, but the LA Running Club awning will actually be in Santa Monica. Now, let's something we have not seen previous to this. Why am I having problems? Here we go. Whoop. Um, Hang on a sec. Why am I having problems with this? Anyway, I'm hoping that you're all seeing this screen that says upcoming events with my little picture in the corner. Hopefully that's true. Let's get this screen. For some reason, it's not changing, and I don't know why. Um, oh, that's not good. Whoop. Hang on. Hang on a sec, you guys. I'll have to edit this. Sorry. No, we are not happening. Hang on, you guys. I'm sorry. This is like the
Maybe
most,
stop sharing and then start sharing again.
yeah, I'll probably
Yeah.
have to do that. There we go. And let's start doing that again. Here we go. Share. And hopefully you see me. And here we go. Oh, there it is. All right. Now from the beginning, there we go. Now it's working. Now it's working. Okay. Um, Here. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Um, our wristbands basically look similar to this. You'll see marathon finish time 4:30. You'll see mile pace and split times. These three columns right here, where you're hopefully looking at my cursor. But you'll note each mile has a different average pace. Don't look at paces because look at mile five. Mile five is 12:53. But within mile five, if you recall, there is some, uh, uphill. There is some downhill, down temple, some sizable downhill. And then there is some uphill going up temple, all within the same mile. So even though the average pace is 12:53, you're still not going to be doing 12:53. You're going to have to be going, downhill a little faster, uphill even slower than 12:53. Got it? So don't look at pace, but what you want to look is at split times. At the end of mile 6, which is halfway down Echo Park Pond, you go down, you come down the side of Echo Park, you come down the side of Echo Park Pond, the short side of the rectangle, and then you go down the back side, the long side, and halfway down the long side of that pond, where you will see that 30-foot geyser of water, Echo Park Pond, you will see mile 6 halfway down. At mile 6, according to this, if you are a 4:30 marathon finish time person, for example, you want to be at about 1:04:25. So that's what you really want to look at if you're using those wristbands. And that's really what you want to be. Now, keep in mind, 104.25 is, you're looking over here. Let me move my picture over a little bit. Whoops. Oh, I just screwed it up. Let's go back. There we go. There we go. You're looking at elevation from, total elevation gain is about 85 feet. You're going up to about 370-foot vertical. Um, but you're starting up here in Dodger Stadium at about 425. You're dropping about 81 foot on the average, even though there's a little, up and down to it. Here's 119 foot downhill going down to Chinatown. Doheny, the biggest drop is going down 186-foot vertical in 1 mile. Now suddenly you're doing a 9:23 where your average pace, where is your average pace? It should say here. Oh, it's behind this little thing. Your average pace for a 4:30 is about 11 something, I think. Um, at any rate, let's find one. Here, your average pace is at 10:18. Your average pace is at 10:18 for a 4:30 finish. So at right here, mile 15, forget 10:18. You're dropping down Doheny, mile 15 at a 9:23 average pace. That's all downhill, about it's pretty solid half mile to flat. At any rate, so try and find the split times. If you're even close to these split times, you're doing good. And one of the things I want to emphasize for all of you is run your own race. If your group has the general ability to go up a hill faster than you do, listen to your own breathing. If your breathing is increasing, if your heart rate on your wristwatch is increasing, even 2 beats, walk about a little bit or slow down your run. Let them go a little bit ahead of you. You can always catch up to them on the next downhill. I'm a great downhill runner. I'm really a sucky uphill runner. Pardon my language, but I am. I'm a terrible uphill runner. I can catch up to a lot of people on the downhill because I have long legs. It's just the way I'm built. Um, I get behind everybody on the uphills. I really do. I cannot tell you how many times with a pace group I was way behind the pace group, and then I caught up to them and passed them by before the finish line. Um, that's just me. So run your own race. Okay, listen to your own breathing. Uh, Oddly, I've never heard any science behind this, but I see that women seem to do better on the uphills than men. I have no idea why that is. Maybe it's because they have hips. I have no idea, and maybe more torque to get up the hill. I have no idea. I've never heard any science behind it. It's just something I see consistently. When we're going up the Santa Monica Pier, it was always in my pace group when I was a pace leader. The women pulled ahead, never a guy. It's very interesting. So if you're a guy like me and you're breathing a little harder, or even a woman, it doesn't matter. Slow it down, run your own race. You will never be alone. I don't care what your finish time is. You are not going to be alone unless you're really turning into like a 12-hour marathon. There are still people coming in every 2, 3 minutes at 12 hours. I'm there. I will be there at 12 hours this year. I will, by the way, be inside the finish area across the finish line somewhere when you cross. And if you need a hug, just open your arms and you'll get a hug. If you don't do that, you will not get a hug. I do not, shall we say, invade people's personal space ever by giving them hugs. But if you want one, just reach out. you got a hug. I don't care how sweaty you are. That's I consider that part of my job. At any rate, and I love my job, all of it. Um, and at any rate, so take a look at the enormous difference in paces and finish times per mile. There are your 26.2 miles. There are some very big differences in pace, very big differences. Hopefully, you've been doing that kind of thing. This Saturday in Griffith Park and Santa Monica, and then again on Sunday at Balboa Park, all 6 miles, 6 miles only, but all groups are all doing marathon race pace the whole time. What you will be doing a marathon race pace during the race. I want you to feel what that feels like. And when you're going up a hill, lock in what that feeling is. That 6 miles on flat ground. All of these routes are really, really pretty flat within reason. There is an element to it's going to be some up and down because that's just there is no total perfect flat, except for maybe a little at Balboa Park more than the other two. But get used to that feeling this Saturday or Sunday of flat at marathon race pace. Got it? Coming up Ocean Avenue, it's a 50-foot climb from the pier, Santa Monica Pier, to the totem pole. 50-foot climb. Your pace needs to be a little slower. Maybe only like 5 seconds for the fastest groups to like 25, almost 30 seconds slower for some of the middle groups, right? Just that incline alone, that 50-foot climb in 1 mile, I should say a mile and a half, actually, your pace needs to drop a little bit. Griffith Park, even same kind of deal, coming back from the school that's over there across the street from the zoo, all the way back. That's a slight uphill. Your paces also need to be dropped just a little bit. I don't have an equivalent in Balboa Park that I can think of. At any rate, um, you do always want to shift. You want steady, equal power output, if best you can, steady, even heart rate. Although your heart rate with dehydration and fatigue is going to go up and up and up and up throughout the race. But yeah, that's where you want to be. It needs to feel similar. Uh, so there's an example. That's what your wristbands are going to look like. They won't show the weight factor of the elevation or any of that stuff. They'll show the mile, average pace. That's what this is, up and down, and then split times. Look at the split times per mile. If you're kind of on track, you're on track. One last thing. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Here we go. Once again, I said it before, I'll say it again. 40 to 60 grams of carbs per hour. The taper, I've said this before, a 3 week taper, which is what most of us are on, or a 2.5 week taper for the faster groups, the average person will gain just from taper not doing more 0.5% to 6% increase in energy output by race day. That's the average person. The median will be 3% that most of you will gain. That's a lot. 0.5 to 6, the average being 3% increase in energy output just from dropping, significantly down. And then the last week, less, nothing on Friday, then Saturday, that little kicker, and then Sunday, your marathon. That's a huge increase in energy output for a short period of time, just doing less. Now, here's where we begin. What you need during the race. Again, calculate how much sodium you're going to need, right? Um, some of you, the average amount of sodium, I think I have that on the next slide. Uh, Here we go. The average amount of sodium, according to the College of Sport Medicine, they recommend endurance athletes consume 300 to 600 milligrams of sodium per hour. Per hour. That's a lot of sodium. I know there are a lot of you who are heavier sweaters that sweat a lot. You find like a lot of salt on your forehead, or you find lines of white lines, which is salt on your running shirt. Um, that's salt. You may need more like 1,000 milligrams per hour. That's a lot. I had a runner very recently. He qualified. He actually won his age group at the age of 51, who needed he had a sweat test, sweat sodium hydration test while running on a treadmill. And he needs 2,000 grams of sodium per hour. Um, that's outrageous. Excuse me, milligrams of sodium per hour. That's outrageous. 2,000. There are pills you can take in um, along with electrolyte, along with your gels. You know, again, Precision Nutrition Gel does not has higher carbs, 30 grams, good, but has no sodium. Electrolyte, the drink, does have a little bit of sodium, not a lot. I'd have to look it up again, but find a way to get in as much sodium as you need. That's really important for neurological function, so you're not going to cramp. It's really important for hydration. The ability to absorb hydration is partially dependent on the volume of sodium you have in your system. In other words, if you become sodium depleted, just depleted, not out of, if you get out of sodium, you're going to be a mess. That's where you see these people on these Ironman races where they're like falling over and they're losing control of their bodies because they're out of electrolytes, or they're so low in electrolytes they're not getting proper neurological function, and they're falling down and they can't quite get up, but um, regardless, you need sodium. If you start feeling nauseous, it might be because your body is low on sodium, and water or liquid that you're taking in is sitting in your stomach, and you don't have enough sodium to absorb it into your system. So that's water, hydration, whatever electrolyte is sitting in your stomach, and your stomach wants to get rid of it. So you're having that feeling of nausea. That's why many of you may see someone who suddenly stops at the finish line and just throws up water. It's just they are sodium depleted, probably. Almost assuredly, they need sodium quick. Well, they need sodium they're dehydrated because their bodies are not absorbing hydration because they're low in sodium. Really simple to fix. Take in 2 sodium pills, 2 mineral pills, problem solved. There will be salt packets on many tables for the first time this year. I know I said that in former discussions. Sodium packets, if you really want, you're in need. I'm not recommending it, but it's probably a tough way to take in sodium by just taking in salt. You could theoretically take a cup of water on, like a McDonald's salt packet, right? We've all seen them. Tear off the top, pour the salt into the little cup of water, shake it around a little, pinch the cup as you would drinking any during a race, and dump it back in your mouth, and you got salt water. And that's as good as any way to get in salt or sodium. Um, Salt has sodium in it. Sodium is an element, and you need that element to absorb hydration and for neurological function. So you even have that backup on your water tables. One water table per mile. I'm not sure they're going to have it at every table, but they will. Protein this week. Great time to you could maybe even down your carb level last week, maybe even a little less this week because you're not running as far. You're not utilizing as many carbs. If you're doing like Wednesday night track or high heart rate track, you need more carbs that day. Next week, you can start Monday, this coming Monday, start upping your carbohydrate intake again. But right now, you could really do well. Don't go crazy, but you don't want a giant plate of steak. No, that's too much. You're really only, if you're eating meat, it's only really a little like the palm of your hand for that kind of what you need for protein. Maybe a little more this week, but protein will help to fill you up if you have a drink with protein in it. That would be the only great value that I know of scientifically during the race if you have a drink with protein in it. Electrolyte does not, which will be on the course every mile, every water table stop. And there will be several tables per mile water stop. Um, no protein in electrolyte. But if you have a drink with a little protein in it, that would be a benefit. It might make you feel a little more full. Um, After your race, you're going to need, in order to feel full again, you're going to need carbs, healthy fats, and proteins. My go-to after a race is a burrito with a ton of guacamole on top, smothered in salsa, because tomatoes have lycopene, which is a powerful antioxidant, keeps you from getting the negative effects of sun radiation, right? And the lycopene and the antioxidants in that. And there's salsa has a ton of sodium in it. Great way to get salt. That's my go-to after a race. But protein will fill you up. Um, Beans and rice have a lot of protein in it. You're good to go there. I'm vegan. That's what I do. At any rate, um, all good. Let's go back. Whoops. Let's go forward. Here we go. So protein, again, I kind of covered most of this, makes you feel fuller, improves mental function. So this week, like I said, rebuilds muscle tissue. We don't know if it's going to do that while running, like I said, but it's a really bad resource for fuel. Taking in protein during a race, like I said, maybe make you feel a little more full if you're hungry, but it's a bad resource for fuel. If you're using protein for a resource for fuel, you're going a way long distance. You're really low on carbs. You're already in trouble. You're probably walking slowly. Not good. Like I said, goo does have some amino acids which are protein in them. I believe that's the reason. Amino acids make up protein. But I believe it's just to probably make you fuller. There's no science behind that. Not that I know of, not that I've ever heard of. But there you go, protein. Okay, sodium, we already talked about that. Aids neurological function. Drink too much liquid and you'll flush some of the minerals out of your system. This is a consistent thing that people will talk about. Don't drink too much because you'll lose all your minerals. Well, the simple solution is, you don't want to become dehydrated, so don't drink too little. And you can always take in more minerals in the form of a mineral pill. So what the heck is the big deal about drinking? There are people who drink way too little, burn themselves out because they're dehydrated. Their muscle function, pardon me, goes into muscle spasms, meaning they're having muscle spasms. They're cramping, in other words, because their neurological function is falling apart because their hydration is too little. They're becoming dehydrated. Their heart rate is higher, so they're using when you become dehydrated with too little drink, your heart rate is higher. So that means if your heart rate is automatically higher because you have less blood volume because you're dehydrated, that means you're using more carbohydrate in the form of glycogen. That means you're depleting your glycogen reservoir, that limited reservoir. So you're coming closer and closer and closer more quickly to hitting the wall, meaning you're going to burn out and you're going to go way, way slower toward the end of your race. Not just because you didn't drink enough. So drink. And if you're worried about not you're drinking your water, uh, depleting your electrolyte, your sodium, your potassium, your calcium levels, because you're flushing it into your urine by drinking too much. Take in more electrolytes, minerals. Electrolytes are minerals, sodium, potassium, calcium, all of those. Even magnesium has some minor benefits during the, I don't know, magnesium is important, but not, I don't know about during the race. It can be depending on if you're magnesium depleted or not. That can often be a genetic issue to some degree. Um, I'd have to read up more on magnesium and its benefits during the race. I'm a little really unsure about that one. Um, we just talked about sodium already. An electrolyte has 48 to 82 milligrams per 4 ounce cup. It depends on the flavor. Different flavors have more milligrams of sodium in Oh, and goo has 60 milligrams. So if you need, what was it? 300 to 600, the line item above, 300 to 600, and goo is giving you a tenth of that per hour. Got the picture? An electrolyte has 48 to 82. There's like, I don't know, 20, 30% per hour. You just might benefit from mineral pills, especially if you're really, really sweat heavy, which is a good thing, honestly, because you're cooling your body by sweating. That sweat lets hot heat out of your body. Salt stick has 215 milligrams of sodium, so add that to call it, let's say, electrolyte 50 per cup and goo 60. Let's call it 110, 120 milligrams. Add that to there's 325, 330. So you're already at the bottom end of that 300 to 600 milligrams of sodium. You may need two mineral pills if you're a heavy sweater on a warmer day. Though right now it looks like the temperature is going down. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, so there we are. That's sodium. Um, and that's it, gang. Um, I look forward to seeing you all on Saturday in Santa Monica or Sunday in Balboa Park. We also will have our normal Griffith Park workout. Don't forget our potluck the weekend after our LA Marathon, Saturday and Sunday at all locations. And think through your marathon and figure out how all the necessities internally and emotionally and externally that you're going to need and how to fulfill that to have an amazing, amazing race, including caffeine and all of that. And good luck on the LA Marathon. Not that you need it, but have fun out there. Take note every so often, turn around and look behind you and see. I don't care what corral you're starting in, open or closed. Take a look at how many thousands and thousands, the sea of humanity that is behind you, let alone what you're looking at in front of you. It's outrageous. We're going to have at least 22,000 people on the starting line of the LA Marathon this year. That is defined by the fire codes of each municipality. We can only put so many people on each street. That's each municipality's fire department tells us what to do. But I always like to end with train smart and train to win, because if you don't, you won't. And if you do, you just might. And in this case, race smart and race to win. One last thing I forgot. Calculate where you will be with 80 minutes left to go in your race. If you're a 10-minute per mile average marathon pace person, that's 80 minutes to go in the marathon divided by 10 or whatever your pace is. That would be 8 miles to go. At 8 miles to go, a 10-minute per mile pace person will be within that 80-minute to go window. 8 minus 26.2, it would be mile 18.2. So if you're at 10 minutes per mile pace, average pace, marathoner, at mile 18.2, you're 80 minutes to go. If you maintain those glycogen levels, and then you add more a gel with more caffeine in it right there, you might find that you can speed up because your levels of glycogen, carbohydrate, that reside in the muscle are on full or close to full, and you're feeling good. Forget the pace group. Start pulling ahead. You're out of the red zone. You're out of the like, let's take it slow and watch out and be careful. You're now in the let's go, screw it, burn it out. If you got it, as one coach, Pat Connolly, our former LA Roadrunner coach, used to say, kick in the afterburners and go for the finish line. And I mean that. Take in some caffeine to spike your adrenaline and all that, and maybe another gel later on with a lot of caffeine in it to spike it some more. And you might find yourself flying across the finish line so fast that you may almost knock people over because you want to just keep on going. With that, I thank you all for tuning in tonight. And I will see you all at the finish line. And I really will see you at the finish line because I'll be behind in the finish area, wearing probably a pace leader shirt, because I just think they're cool. And I thank you all very much. Does anyone have any questions about any of that? Keep in mind, we're still recording. Um, oh, I can lower my hand now. Thank you for the hearts, by the way. Any questions, you can just scroll your cursor across the screen and click on your audio button or even your video button, and we'll see and hear you. Or you can type something in the chat. I have 10 things in the chat. Let me see. Here we go. Susie says, Coach, how do I figure out how much fuel or carbs I need for race day? I thought I saw a link to Precision Energy Gels where they provide the math formula to, wait, hang on. There we go. Formula. I just don't know where to access it. I'm not sure. Precision does show. Well, I just mentioned. You probably wrote this before I mentioned the amount of carbs that Precision has, but really, the guy last week, by the way, the 50K, in USA, Team USA Nationals competitor last week, he said he took in, I would say something like 120 grams of carbs per hour. 120, that's like half a box of Oreo cookies, if you remember this discussion last Thursday. It's online now. I just posted it this morning. I edited it last night and posted it. It's on our YouTube channel and our Facebook group. But he took in 120 grams of carbs per hour. Um, Basically he just trained his body to take in more and more and more and more and more sugar. The average person will get to about 60, 66 grams of carbs per hour and start feeling nauseous like when you were a kid and ate a box of cookies. The more you can take in, the better until you start feeling nauseous. Don't go to a point where you're feeling nauseous. Um, but the more the better. I mean, he does really, really well, this guy. He's going on an international competition for 50K, in part because he can take in more sugar than anyone around him in international competition. And I've heard this from other ultra runners as well. Huge benefits from the ability to just absorb more carbohydrate than anybody else. I don't know if that answers your question, but um, and I don't want to say keep taking in carbs until you're sick because that's the wrong way to do it. And obviously, when you're running or run walking or walking, even your heart rate is elevated. Your body diverts, which I find fascinating. Your body diverts blood from unessential areas of your body, specifically in this case, your stomach, to your your arms and legs that you use to run with. Um, so your stomach function is less functional. So you can't really take carbs in unless you stop and walk and really lower your heart rate. And I don't just mean power walk, I mean slow walk, um, and really drop your heart rate. Then you could probably absorb something like a bagel or a cookie or something with carbs that'll turn into glycogen sugar in your muscles. But that's going to take a while and that's going to slow you down considerably for that period of time that you're eating that. Or, that's why we do gels, that's why we do electrolyte. Try and figure out where can you get, as much as you can possibly do. Um, for more petite people, men and women, we're all different sizes. Um, that's why I say closer to 40, grams of carbohydrate per hour. Bigger people are going to be able to take in more, like closer to 60 grams carbohydrate. But like I said, this guy last week, 120, I think it was 110, 120 grams per hour. I mean, man, if I ate a box of cookies or 120 grams of sugar per hour, by the way, if you don't already get the point, carbohydrate metabolize the metabolic structure of carbohydrate turn into sugar in your body, and it's the sugar essentially your body is utilizing, and in the form of glycogen. Glycogen is basically this honey-like white substance that resides in the muscle. It's what makes meat taste good. It's why you put more honey on ham because it's just more of the same flavor. It's more sugar on top of sugar. That's why we do that with ham. I don't eat ham. I don't eat meat, but that's why we do it. That's why meat tastes good. Um, Personally, I'd rather eat a cookie. Anyway, but there again, too much sugar. You're using more sugar when your heart rate is higher. So you're absorbing more. If you're not using sugar, it turns to fat. So please, please, please don't get me wrong. Don't sitting here like, oh, I need sugar. What the hell? I'm going to eat a piece of cake. That's too much sugar. At one point, it's going to spike your insulin levels, unlike when you're running, walking fast or running even at marathon race pace, whatever you're doing, your heart rate is a little higher. You're consuming carbohydrate at a higher rate, and that higher rate won't spike your insulin levels like sitting there eating a key piece of cake. That really a lot just takes all that sugar, doesn't allow you to use it as energy. It just stores it right away as fat. That's why your energy levels plummet. And after you just ate a half a box of cookies, you're like, oh my God, I think I'm going to need a nap. And that's why, as a kid, you may have eaten a box of cookies and passed out because it spikes your insulin, which just robs your body of sugar and turns it right into fat. So don't get me wrong. Don't start, oh, I'm just going to start eating cake. No. Anyway, um, that's the wrong direction you want to go. Um, so next, what mile are the hugs at? Right across the finish line, Michael. You cross the finish line, that's where I will be, in the finish area. After right before you get your medal or right after that, you will see me, or maybe way farther down if you're slower. I tend to, as the race progresses, as I talk to people, I go farther and farther back in the finish line corral. But I'm going to be there till about 12 hours on the clock. And I don't mean 12 hours from the time I get there in the morning. I mean 12 hours on the clock from the gun going off at 7 in the morning, whatever that, what is 12 plus 7 in the morning? I don't know. I will definitely want a Coach David hug. Aw, Christina, thank you. You got it. Free of charge, by the way. Hugs are very free, no expense. Part of your being a road runner, free hugs. How's that for a benefit? Teresa, maybe every 5 miles. Is that to do with hugs? um, every 5 miles in terms of taking in gels or drink. Well, you'd need more than drink than that. I would recommend taking some kind of hydration, either water or electrolyte, if you can do electrolyte. I think most people can do electrolyte. It might depend on the flavor for some people. I know some of you, this is interesting. Some of you love, my favorite, you may be like the opposite. My favorite electrolyte drink is the coconut drink. Now, some of you are out there going, "Oh, yeah, I hate coconut." It's an interesting thing, the flavor of coconut, electrolyte. At any rate, Lillette, hugs will be at mile 9. Oh, yes, we will have a cheer tent, mostly from our Griffith Park group. Lillette, thank you. At mile 9 of the LA Marathon, you will see our LA Roadrunner awning because those guys are going to carry it out there at mile 9. I will not be at mile 9. I will be right beyond the finish line. Um, but yeah, look for our look, and in fact, they are going to have a ton of gels. So if mile 9 you want a precision gel, um, you can imagine where we get them. It's the same place as we got precision gels from the warehouse. We are part of the LA Marathon. We have keys to the warehouse. We have our own pile of electrolyte. We have our own pile of precision nutrition gels. Um, they will be at mile 9 at our awning. So stop by gel, and someone will hand you one. Hug, someone will give you one. Mile 9 at our awning. Cool. The LA Running Club will also be at like mile 20, 21, somewhere around there, just before or after Wilshire, right around the island there. Teresa, Coach David was amazing at Rose Bowl half. It was great to see him at the finish line. I will again, thank you, Teresa, very, very kind of you. I will be, and thanks for the four of you, the thumbs up thing. I will be, like I said, at the finish line. Um, and by the way, we will have a morning story. I already have my morning story I've been working on before we go out to um, before you drop off bib, excuse me, before you drop off gear check, use your white clear plastic bag, write your numbers on the little white boxes on the clear plastic bag, your bib number on those white little squares. You'll see what I'm talking about. Um, on your bag. And after we leave Dodgers Stadium, we're in like a giant concrete hallway that overlooks the stadium below. But it's an enclosed area except for the opening of the stadium wall. Um, you could sit in the bleachers, right, and look at the worst baseball game you've ever seen in your life. They don't even turn on the lights on the field. There's no one playing. But anyway, you could sit there. After we leave, after our morning picture, we'll corral everyone into this big plaza outside. Morning picture, my talk, and then right down, you'll go down the stairs, follow your nose straight across the street. You'll see all the UPS trucks. You throw your bib number, your bag with your bib number on it that matches your bib number that you'll be wearing on the corresponding truck. All the trucks have 0 through 1,000, 1,001 through 2,000, 2,001 through 3,000, that kind of whatever the numbers are. Throw your corresponding bib number on the right numbered truck and walk over to the corral where your pace leader will be. Do not forget, your pace leaders on race day become not just all season, they are your pace leaders. They are your guide to training. Race day, your pace leaders become the pace leaders for the entire marathon. So your pace leaders will actually be in every appropriate corral where they should be. In other words, corral B will only be people who are of our pace leaders 3:30 finish time, 3.5 hour finish time through I believe it's 350 finish time. And if you're not 330 to 350, I think that's it. They're 320 to 340, something like that. If you're not within that range that's appropriate for corral B, they will not be there. They will be in their appropriate corral or open corral. The closed corrals only go to 5 hours. Anyone 5:15 or slower will all be in the open corrals. And half of the pace leaders this year, the Santa Monica pace leaders, 3:30 to 5 hours, pace leaders in Santa Monica, 3:30 to 5 hours. Most of them will be in the open corral this year, where years past, we think it's just fair, I do, that we flip it every year. Santa Monica pace leaders, 3:30 to 5 hours. Most of them will be in the open corral this year, not the closed corrals where they have been in the past. Got it? So ask your pace leader Saturday which corral he or she will be in on race day. And, you'll see them in the hallway. You can all sit together and you can even follow your pace leader out to the corral where they will be. But know in advance where they're going to be so you don't lose them. They'll have the signs that they're going to take with them the entire race, not just hand them off to me before the race. I cannot take signs with 22,000 people coming across the starting line. It just doesn't work. And also, we want our pace leaders for everyone around them to see what pace they're leading. They carry those signs the whole race, if you don't already know that. You'll be able to see them lined up in order in all of those different corrals from 3 hour to like 8 hour. We have 3 hour to 8 hour pace leaders. I take that back. Our slowest pace sign, we have pace leaders 8 hours. Our slowest pace sign would be 6:30. Our slowest pace sign is 6:30. 3 hour would be our fastest. Before the Rose Bowl, you did a great session discussing the course. Will you do that for the marathon next week? Thank you for mentioning that. Next week, we're talking logistics with Lucy. Lucy Logistics next week. That's going to be a big one. This week, try and find a place to park. If you're going to park by the finish line, figure out your parking situation this week before you hear the logistics next week. Bus pickup near the finish line. Bus pickup is about a mile from the finish line. One is right near on Santa Monica Boulevard, near Avenue of the Stars. That's the finish line. The bus pickup is right over Ocean Avenue. Olympic Avenue. Olympic Avenue is just beyond that. That's where bus pickup is on Avenue of the Stars, about a mile up, 3/4 mile up from the actual finish line on Santa Monica Boulevard. So you may want to park in between the two. Personally, I don't care about the bus. I drive to the finish line. I know, I know. I've just ruined your thinking about me. I don't run the marathon. That's why I get there before the people who win the race. I didn't win the race every year. I drove. Um, I just tell people I won the race. It's true, I do that. Anyway, um, so I park in the mall, which is right next to the finish area. The mall is the closest finish area. There is a place, 1999 Avenue, the Stars. It's kind of in between the two. Might even be sort of closest to the bus pickup. You guys decide which is most important to you before or after the race. Or some of you may be getting dropped off, like my wife. I drop her off in the Dodgers Stadium. I park there and then I jump in my car after everybody leaves the finish starting line, and then I drive out of there. So she's got a ride. It's a great way to get to the starting line, but then you got to figure out who's going to pick you up at the finish line. Um, that you don't want your family just to leave you there. Um, let's see. So yeah, there are online real thorough discussions on YouTube right now on discussing every mile of the marathon. There's one lecture alone on the first 6 miles. So jump on our YouTube channel. All of those lectures, this one included, it will be on the same YouTube channel. Just look for LA Road Runners on YouTube, and you'll find our newest logo with the palm tree and whatever. I take it back. It's last year's logo on our YouTube channel, the colorful one. Anyway, there you go. What is next week's coach talk? Oh, I just mentioned logistics with Lucy. Endurolytes with calcium, sodium, magnesium works well. Paul, there you go. I like Endurolytes. Endurolytes are another capsule similar to Salt Stick. Endurolytes are made by a company called Hammer Nutrition. Go to hammernutrition.com and you can find Endurolytes. They're the little capsules. They're just clear, standard clear capsules. You can pull them out and the white powder just falls, you know. Um, Also, another great mineral pill, electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals. Araceli, thank you. Araceli, thank you. Best perk of being part of LA Roadrunners, free hugs. Thank you, Christina. I love that. We should start advertising free hugs at the finish line, damn it. Best perk. Forget being inside the Rose Bowl locker room and Dodger Stadium and all that stuff while other people are outside in the cold and maybe the rain or whatever. Forget all that. Free hugs, damn it. Susie, what do you think about LMNT for electrolyte and sodium? Also, what salt tablets do you recommend? LMNT, as it's called, element has 1,000 milligrams of sodium in it. It's great for those of you who sweat a little more. Usually it comes in powdered form. So if you have a way, what I would use, I could never do Gatorade. I could not, and Gatorade used to be the mainstay of every marathon, pretty much everywhere, almost. And what I would do, because I couldn't drink Gatorade, it gave me an upset stomach. It was one of those rare things. I have no problem with any gel. Gatorade, for some reason, I couldn't do it. I hope to God Gatorade never comes back as a sponsor. I just can't drink it, right? At any rate, um, I'm going to have to tell them, honest, I'm sorry, I can't drink your product. At any rate, if they ever came back as a sponsor, thank God for Electrolyte. I love their product. Um, at any rate, um, I used to put powder in four little 7-ounce bottles. Four of them would go two on the front and two on the back of my little elastic belt called fuel belt. It would give a little elastic band that had a little pouch for these little 7-ounce bottles. And I'd put the powder in advance. And every 10K, meaning every 6 or 7 miles, I'd open up the cap as I was running toward the water table. I'd pinch the cup so it had that kind of V shape to it, and I'd pour the water in my little water bottle, right, with the powder already inside of it. I didn't use Element, it didn't exist back then. I used all sorts of stuff. Um, there was a company called Endurance Nutrition or something like that, or First Endurance, something. Anyway, um, I had some different powders that I used that worked great for me, and that's how I did it. So if you're using Element, you don't want to carry heavy water because there's water every mile, mile 6 or 7, and then at halfway point 13, 14, then again at 20, 21, and then again at like whatever it is, every 10K, every 6 miles of the race, you could fill up another water bottle that already has the powder in it. So you don't have that extra weight on you. And you don't need to slow you down. I just held the cap in my two fingers and the bottle in my other, and grabbed the cup with my other hand, pinched, poured it right in. Good to go. Turn the cap, put the cap back on as I threw the cup to the side and started running again. It'd take me like 3 seconds to do this. And I was through a water station, grab another cup of water as I go, pinch the cup again, get that funnel, oh, and down the cup of water, I'm gone. You lose like nothing. That's a great way to use powders. Um, Fuel belt or another different belt or whatever, where you can put powder in it. And as you run, you shake it up, right? Michael, golf kept the Vietnam vet alive. Yeah, sure did. The promise of hugs will get us through the finish line. Yes, there you go. Um, Imagery to think about what is in store. Imagine yourself winning the LA Marathon. Imagining getting a medal around your neck. Imagining high-fiving everybody and that feeling of accomplishment when you cross the finish line. How emotional that may be for you, especially if it's your first race. I was in tears my first race, but I always get very emotional every finish line, regardless. There are some people that say your first is your most exciting. I never found that. They're all exciting to me, but that's another story. So yeah, imagine the finish line. Are we getting access to the Dodgers locker rooms like we did at the Rose Bowl? No, for one thing, we can't leave stuff at Dodger Stadium. Keep in mind, there's no gear check. There's gear check to get it to the finish line, but there's no leaving it at Dodger Stadium because we're not going back to Dodger Stadium. You know, we leave from Dodger Stadium, we end up, like 13 miles down the road. You'd have another 13 miles to run back to Dodger Stadium to get your stuff, and the stadium by then would be all locked up. You wouldn't be able to get in the stadium. So, no, we don't really have a locker room or any way to leave stuff in the stadium. We do have it's just a general hallway for just some minimal comfort from certainly the cold or the rain. Nice place to sit if you want to sit in the bleachers and look down at the field, the baseball field, which is dark. It's kind of creepy and weird, and you can imagine the ghosts on the field, which is sort of cool. Um, so no, unfortunately, no locker rooms at Dodger Stadium. Um, uh, Coach David, thank you. Angel, thank you. Do you know if SRLA is in the open corral or do students join the timed corrals? Honestly, I really don't know where students run LA, SRLA start the race. Um, I honestly don't know the answer to that question, where the kids are. I believe they usually start them toward the back to slow them down because kids have a tendency to start way too fast and burn out. I believe they start them in the back of the open corral. Um, I could be wrong about that. I'm really, really not sure. They may spread them out as we will be spreading ourselves out throughout all the appropriate corrals from the fastest to the slowest. Um, I really don't know SRLA. Great program, but anyway, what are other groups we can join during off season for LA Roadrunners? Santa Monica, all three of them. We don't stop really. The LA Roadrunners becomes the LA Running Club. The LA Running Club was originally started by a bunch of LA Roadrunner pace leaders. They take over after the season ends and help organize the Santa Monica runs, run walks or walks. So that's join up at the potluck. That's the running club. Yes, we do love when people can donate money to keep the running club going. The running club sponsor spends thousands every year on our track runs, every Wednesday night track, which we're going to hopefully offer to everybody in the road runners even, pardon me, this coming year. So please, join the running club to help support them and the track workout and all that, what they do. That's Santa Monica. Griffith Park has the old USA Marathon training that's still going on there. that has become the Griffith Park Group. And they have year-round, every Saturday morning potlucks. They do not quit the potlucks. They do not quit the runs. It does not stop. They will have their potluck, their medal run the week after the marathon, and that don't stop. You may not see the medals, but after the morning Saturday runs at Griffith Park, 7 o'clock, all locations, they will go back to their car in Griffith Park every week, guaranteed. Pull food out of their cars, and they do it right. They've been doing that every Saturday morning for years, year round. That's Griffith Park, doesn't stop. This year, because our Balboa group is so new, um, we are going to try again. And last year there was a small contingency, and we're going to try and grow it a little. I'll try and be there more often. I wasn't there very often last year at Balboa Park on Sundays, Sunday, 7 o'clock. We're going to just keep going. It'll be unstructured runs. You're not building for a marathon. It's off season. First couple of weeks, I may even bike it. You could join me if biking or whatever. But we're even going to keep that one going as well. So all three, just keep showing up 7 o'clock Saturday or Sunday, whatever your location is. Just keep showing up. There you go. Neil, here, coach, on carrying extra gels, tabs on race day. Tabs meaning electrolytes, pills, whatever. Electrolytes do come in tab form. Minerals come in these little tabs. You can kind of chew them or whatever, like gummies or whatever. On race day, I fumbled. Oh, here's the story. I fumbled my salt stick during Rose Bowl, and it threw me into cramp-fearing panic. Lesson learned. That's why we think through our race and all of the possibilities that can go wrong or right. There was one that Neil really did have go wrong. And well, he'll never have that problem again. He'll take some extras. Even I recommended the other day, if you have mineral pills, you may want to carry them in a Ziploc bag so your sweat doesn't melt the little capsule. Liquid will melt the capsule. But even still, you may want to have two Ziploc bags, small ones, that you can hold in a zipper pocket in case, like what happened with Neil, if you fumble one package of mineral pills and it's suddenly gone and there, thousands of people running at you and you can't really stop before you kind of get trampled and your package is gone, you'll have another package and, a second Ziploc bag with more mineral pills. Problem solved. Um, all good. Neil, thank you for sharing your story. Calissa, how early do you drop her off? My wife. Well, unfortunately, I drop her off when I get there, which is really disgustingly early in the morning. I believe they open the stadium at like 4:30 in the morning. Um, this may sound weird. I generally leave my wife in the car so she can kind of nap and rest with the car unlocked and open. And I'll take the key because she doesn't need the key. She's just sitting there. And she'll basically relax. I may try and arrive at like 4:15 in the morning. I'm not recommending that. Um, but the stadium, I believe, opens at 4:30. We're going to discuss logistics next week. That's what I do, and that's what she does. Um, you know, anyway, if you're on a 4 a.m. bus, chances are you'll probably won't get to the stadium till about 4:30 anyway. The earlier your bus, the quicker it will take to get to the stadium. The later your bus, the longer it will take to get your bus to the stadium because the buses even back up and the buses are on the one exit into the stadium right off the freeway. Cars are not allowed. Well, we'll discuss logistics next week. Cars are not allowed to go into the one exit next to the stadium. You actually have to get off like downtown or on Riverside Drive to the north of the stadium and kind of drive to it. But even buses back up on the one exit ramp way back onto the freeway into the downtown area. So the earlier the bus, probably the better. We probably leave, this race starts at 7. We probably leave we probably get ready to walk out the door at 6:15. Then my talk at 6:15, excuse me, picture at 6:15, talk at 6:25, whatever. We're out the door at 6:30, right almost when they close the gear check. We'll be out the door a little before that. And then you're into the corral with about a half hour, 25 minutes to go before the start of the race at 7 o'clock. That'll pretty much be how it's going to work race day. Um, let's see. Clarissa just wanted to know what the accessibility is near the stadium. A lot of people. The later you go, if you get there at my hour, 4:15, not a lot of people. If you get there at 5:30, a lot of people. Figure the volume of people in that parking lot where the expo will be. Well, right where that starting line was, right where I was standing when we ran at Dodger Stadium, that will be the starting line, right where I was standing. Um, I know that it's like S in blue is printed on spray painted on both sides of that little street, right where I was standing. That's where the starting line will be. Um, and there are a lot of people milling about that huge area. Twice, almost, there were 12,500 people at the Rose Bowl. There will be over 22,000 people at LA Marathon. Almost twice the size of the Rose Bowl, if you can imagine that. Um, we have a stairway to get up, and the stairway is really unencumbered. You just make your way to the side of the stadium. If the stadium is like this, right? The stadium is kind of, well, I take it back. It's a horseshoe. The starting line is over here. The horseshoe of the stadium. This is the outfield. This is home plate in the stadium. We're like right over here. There's a blue stairway that goes up right over here on the side of that stadium. And you go right up and in, and we're in the like a second floor hallway that overlooks the actual outfield, kind of the outfield, like right in there, if you're imagining the stadium. And you know, it's open in the outfield, right? That's where we will be. And the stairway is unencumbered. If you try and make sure you get a wristband at our awning, definitely go to our awning to get your wristband before you go race day. If you forget wristbands, don't panic. There will be someone at that stairway at the bottom, sort of bottom of that stairway, kind of maybe the second landing, that will have names of all our roadrunners, and your name will be on that list, and you will be able to get your wristband there. But get it in advance. It just gets to be a long line there. And if all of you, it just takes more time, and you're just standing there in the cold and outdoors, and you get in the warmth and get out of that dark, cold area. Get your wristband at the expo when you pick up your bib number, which you need to do anyway. So just come to our awning. Let's see. They're right behind the walkers. I guess you're talking about, I'm not sure. Um, I'm not sure what that pertains to. Uh, but Bertina, thank you. They're right behind the walkers. I'm not sure what's right behind the walkers. Anyway, um, the 7 hour, 8 hour groups are behind the walkers. They're walkers also, though. Susie, can you please go over the formula or fuel again? How many gels per hour? Well, you know, it depends on what gel you're doing. If you're doing precision gels, there will be precision gels on the course at mile 12 and 18. Mile 12 and 18. Keep in mind there's no sodium in precision gels. You're going to need sodium. But that's, you know, you do precision gel one every half hour. There is 60 milligrams of caffeine, excuse me, of carbohydrate per hour. So you're good to go. Um, you don't need electrolyte, although electrolyte has some sodium and electrolytes in it, hence the name electrolyte. Not a lot of sodium, a lot of potassium in electrolyte and other electrolytes. Not a lot of sodium, which enables you to drink more of it. But then you got more carbs, which if you're doing two precision gels an hour, that may end up and electrolyte, you may start feeling nauseous because you're taking in too many carbs. Um, do the math, figure out what you want, and also how heavy a sweater, how heavy a person of sweating are you? How much sodium are you going to need to take in? That 300 to 600 milligrams of sodium per hour, that would mean electrolyte and some gels or mineral capsules uh, every hour. Do the math to what you need. If you need 1,000 milligrams of sodium, you may want to go with something like Element and powdered and put it in bottles. All things for you to calculate. Um, the three things to figure out are carbohydrate intake, sodium intake, and hydration and water intake, or electrolyte, just liquid intake in general. Okay. That's what you're going to need to calculate. How many water tables are you going to go through in an hour? Most people, I would say, if you are 10-minute per mile, excuse me, if you are a 4 hour, yeah, 10-minute per mile, 410. If you are a 10-minute per mile pace person, which would be a 410 finish time or slower, if you're 410 or slower for finish time, you probably want to hit just about every water table there is. If you're slower than like 6 hours or so, you're probably going to want to need to carry water with you so that you can refill in between. So you can get in at least like, 4 ounces every 10, 20 minutes. So if you're hitting like 4 water tables an hour or 3 water tables an hour, you're definitely going to need to carry water with you. Other than that, you don't need to carry water. But carry it in a form where you can refill it. But yeah, you definitely want to carry water. Um, if and only if you're like 6 hours or finish time or slower. If you are even 6:15, borderline, um, and 4 hour or slower, 410 or slower, you really want to take almost every water table, get a drink of that water. Keep in mind, cups this year are going to be 6 ounce cups, those green and white cups that I showed some of you, rather than the 8 ounce white cups that we have. I get them from the warehouse, all of that. But this year it's going to be disposed. They're biodegradable cups that they're using, where the white cups in the past were not. Um, yes, coach, the students are right behind the walkers. Oh, I see. The students are behind the walkers. That's what it was. SRLA are behind the walkers. So they're way, way in the back. They're behind the actual fenced in areas, the corrals. They're in the real open area, the SRLA
So,
people.
so, Coach, unfortunately,
Hmm.
for the slower walkers and the
Hmm.
excitement of the students, they
Hmm.
tend to mow us down.
Oh.
But just to be aware,
Hmm.
they are so excited, as we all are, but they don't seem to have the maturity to understand um, that there are people in front of them, and they just go.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
just a thought for you guys
Hmm.
when we do that, as well as um, other 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 clubs. I don't believe teach the etiquette of throwing your jackets and your Mylar um, wraps
Hmm.
to the side as you teach us, and
Hmm.
they dump it in the front, right in front. So we
God.
have, yeah. So we have. So it's just a thought. You may want to teach us next year, not necessarily everybody else, but some sort of agility to get around things in order to be more successful. So we start out about 20 or 30 minutes before this you all
Mhm,
start at the beginning.
mhm.
So we
Right.
have that handicap, and then we have the handicap of trying to get around everybody's
Junk.
clothing dropping. And then the kids are so excited that they just kind of mow us down. And it's
Mm.
like, oh my gosh. So these are just thoughts for you to maybe think about for next year and how to help us develop ourselves in order to be stronger with our legs and our agility to maneuver around that stuff.
A couple of suggestions. First, in terms of SRLA, if you guys, something I used to do as a pace leader in the past, though I wasn't a walker, but would work. First, you guys could start at the sides, or something that would work, kind of the reverse of what I did, is if you guys start in a line of twos, right? With
We
one
do.
person. Yeah, if you start in twos where there's real space in between you guys and one person at the back, so you have kind of a wedge, so they're
Ah,
going to have to like run around you guys, sort of. That might help with Students Run LA to get around you, so you're
mm-hmm.
not like bumped into. That could be a really good one. I'll make that mention to the walkers, this week. We're going to be talking with pace leaders this week on a special call on Tuesday, but
Cool.
I'll make that suggestion. Start in columns of twos with one person in the back, so they kind of it's like a wedge. They go around you. Um, Getting over and around all the junk that 22,000 people were not even a
Yep.
thousand. Um, that's difficult to control.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I hear you. I know what that's like. They leave plastic bags all over the place that are puffed up, and I totally get it. They leave blankets all over the ground and kind of clumps. Yeah, it's a real mess out there. I really, really do not know the answer to that one. If you have any suggestions, I'm thrilled to hear it. Um,
No, but I just figured if I told you now that
yeah,
maybe you can brainstorm with some of your colleagues and
yeah.
maybe help us figure this out for next year.
Maybe next year we can, put out signs or literature or post social media posts that say, throw your stuff to the side, before the race start, which I certainly try and do and I recommend for
I mean, you do
everyone.
it all the time. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
The,
yeah.
the rest of the world are not road runners.
That
You
is
know,
so
there's
true.
something very special about how you teach us and your etiquette
Oh,
and
thank
all
you.
that.
Thank you very much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. Yeah, thank you. I know there are definite different challenges for each group. Um, you know, but yeah. At any rate, Susie asks, are there effective alternatives to gels for fueling during long runs like a marathon? I'd prefer something more natural if possible. Susie, great question. Something that I've found instead of a gel, yeah, I still use the powder stuff because it really works for me. But in addition to the powder stuff that works for me, um, I love and highly recommend anything that's more natural, which is probably what you're headed toward. Anything, especially something that's fiber in it. Uh, Pardon me, fiber also slows absorption rate. In other words, even if it spikes your insulin a little bit, which might tire you out a little bit, turning carbs into fat. Um, uh, f- f- uh, the difference between eating a cookie and eating an apple is the fiber. The fiber slows that absorption of carbohydrate. So the sugar will actually turn more into glycogen rather than fat if you're just, especially if you're just sitting there. But a fruit that has fiber in it, obviously you're not going to eat an apple, a banana maybe, but even that could cause stomach distress in a lot of people, especially somebody who's pushing at higher heart rate, especially later in the race. Try and eat a banana, maybe impossible. But um, baby food. Don't get baby food with vegetables in it because that's low calorie. You want as high as calorie as you can get. But grocery stores, every grocery store I've ever been to, have those little gels with a little plastic knob on the top for about $2 or whatever it is. They're a little more expensive than gels, but they're basically mulched fruit. Think of this, applesauce is baby food. You can get a little packet with the plastic knob. It's filled with that nothing but applesauce. You can get applesauce and berries. You can try and just get things with fruit because it's more calories, more carbohydrate. You need the calories. You don't need the greens. You don't need the vegetables during the race, before and after the race. Dinner before, the dinner after. You need vegetables, micronutrients, vitamins, antioxidants. But during, take in the calories. Um, I found a lot of baby food, those little gels with the plastic knobs, have about 80 to 90 at peak. I think once I found one for 100 calories in it. Gels are 100 calories, but even 80, 90 calories per, baby food gel. Um, I seem to get more energy from that than a gel. I do. That's me. That's my metabolism. I feel more energized from having, and I've done this, a little packet of, gel that's nothing but applesauce has really energized me, where a packet of goo or gel doesn't energize me anywhere near as much. I love baby food. That was the gel of choice for me. Sorry, I didn't mention that earlier. Great question. Thank you for asking that. I don't see any more questions in the chat. We're down from almost 40 people online to about 21 now. Anybody else? Anyone else have a question verbally? Just scroll your cursor across the screen as I'm doing now, and your command bar will pop up, and you can click on the audio uh, icon or the video icon or both, and we can hear and see you. Or just type it in the chat bar. Click on chat and you can type it in, or click on more and chat if you don't see the little chat icon. Um, Anybody else going once? Going twice? Going three times? I will stay online if there are any personal questions about injuries or whatever. I will stay online for a little bit longer, but I am going to throw it up in the air and say good night to all of you watching the recording. I'm going to stop the recording now, but I will stay on live for a little while longer. And at any rate, I will see you all, if you want, for a free hug at the finish line of the LA Marathon. And I'll see you all Saturday or Sunday, Santa Monica and Balboa Park. But I will see you all at the finish line. Take care, everybody, and good night.